Do, 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 do.
You should have started the stream.
All right, what happened to Marisa?
Okay, we're
Someone
live.
shut his strings.
Starting
We're
the stream.
live.
I could be
Right, I guess so.
All right, we're live. All right.
All right.
All right. Thank
Yay.
you guys for joining the live stream. This is about a creative Q&A, all about Circuits V2, and Gribbly will be leading. Go for it, Gribbly.
Thank you. Hey, welcome everybody. Thank you for being here today. And before we get started, happy Teacher Appreciation Day. Thank you for everyone who takes the time to kind of to train up our new creators. You all look wonderful in your robes, so it's lovely to see everybody. So we're just here for a kind of a periodic update with progress mainly on Circuits V2. Happy to answer any questions you've got, but I think we can start with just a little bit of an update of the state of affairs. I'm going to rely on the good folks who are here with me. This is a lot of the people who work on the Circuits V2 system. And so we are basically hard at work, headed towards a specific date to start bringing the system out of alpha. So Bryhor, if you wouldn't mind reminding me, when are we going to be, when's the first day that you'll be in the live build and you'll no longer require the beta flag to access Circuits V2 stuff?
I am actively pulling up a calendar to figure out when our ship date would be, because it's different than the date that's in my head. So we will be preparing that work, and it should come out right before the end of April. So right now we're targeting the 28th of April.
Okay, yeah. So that's when you come in the live build, we'll no longer require the beta flag. We will do things like support inventions. So yeah, that's a pretty firm date at this point. I know often in these.
I will.
Oh, sorry.
I will correct myself
Yes,
that it actually will probably be more likely the 5th of May is what we're looking at there. So I want to set expectations, because we did move that for a specific reason. So May 5th.
All right, May 5th. So yeah, so we're very confident in this date. Like we're tracking down a very specific set of tasks, bug fixing. We know exactly what we're going to bring out of beta. So we're getting real close. Kind of the big stuff that's coming out is like most of the chips, and then the ability to create inventions. So that's kind of the big things. We're going to be far from done. This is not going to be the whole system coming out all at once. This is like a big chunk of it. We'll be able to rely on it, but we're just going to keep rolling on it. We're going to keep bringing more and more stuff after that date. Sorry, let me take a moment to pause. I am not going to be at my most articulate today. I've been saying this to all of my colleagues here. I actually got my first shot of the COVID vaccine about 36 hours ago, which is very exciting in many ways, but it also I feel kind of weird and brain foggy, so I'm not at my most articulate, so I apologize for that. So hopefully I don't say anything too crazy. But yeah, what I'm trying to say is we're on the home stretch here. Like Bryhor says, first week of May looks real firm. Progress is going really well. We're doing a ton of internal testing. I know a bunch of you have had hands-on with the system. Things are feeling really stable, and we are honestly just really excited to get it out and into the broader creator base's hands. Anyone want to add anything to that kind of general update? Like, Tyleo, I thought you might be able to talk about some of the kind of more recent stuff we've been doing, just so everyone's kind of aware of some of the more recent updates that have gone out.
I'd have to get a list up. We've had all sorts of stuff coming out. I think the most recent one was our big 2.8 update, which came with the improved palette search. That one came out a few weeks ago. That also had the type names above the ports. Then we had another update this week. It fixed some bugs. I know From Creation Object was broken by the previous update. And you can, for anybody who's not aware, we actually have a website. I'll see if I could paste the link in here that has all the update notes before they actually make it to the public. And it should have some update notes for an update we hope to launch in 2 weeks as well.
Yeah, so we're expecting a couple more point releases between now and the coming out of beta, right?
Just one more, and it should be primarily bug fixes.
Got it. Okay. All right. Any other updates from folks? I know something very specifically that I was excited about, like because we're like neatening and straightening things, making sure things are really good to come out of beta was Nidzi did a bunch of really good fixes on the trigger volumes, basically updating them to run at a much higher frame rate, so they're much more responsive and much more reliable. So that's a really exciting one that's been a lot of fun to play with internally, one that I personally been keen to get done for a long time, so thank you, Nidzi. Rye Guy, anything you'd add? What else has been going on that's interesting?
Not a whole lot of new stuff. Again, mostly just tightening the screws and making things consistent. Like you'll probably see a lot of naming things coming out, and making those look nice. But not a whole lot of new stuff really. Mostly just tightening the screws.
Yeah, I guess we got the input bus. We got what we call the input and output buses done, so that when you edit into circuit boards now, there's a much neater display of like how the external ports go onto the inside of the circuit board. So that one we have internally. That'll be coming. That's a really nice thing. But yeah, I think Rye Guy puts it well. We're basically in that kind of tightening the screws, cleaning things up, getting ready for release, making sure everything's stable, making sure everything's reliable, so that we can bring it out of beta with confidence. So okay, so with that kind of general update, let's go to questions. What can we talk about?
All right, I'm gonna select It's Bendy. There you go.
All right, what you got? It's Bendy.
All right, if you're talking, your mic is off. All right, mate. We'll come back to you. Okay, we're gonna come back to you. I'm gonna go to Alexa.
Okay, I have quite a ton of stuff about updates that you've been working on. First of all, I want to see the progress about persistent data, if that's possible.
Yeah, sure. Okay, so that's not going to be part of this beta release, but it is something that we're kind of looking at in what we call Q2, basically the second quarter of the year. We're actually been starting to plan that pretty actively. So we're in the design phase there. And we think we'll be able to get something shipped in Q2. So we're still working out the details. But yeah, that is something we're actively going to break ground on very soon.
Okay.
We haven't really got much to say beyond what we said last time, but it is still planned.
Okay. Next thing, you versus local text and local gizmos. Know that.
Yeah.
Is there any update on that?
So I think we have a pretty clear idea what we're going to do here, and Duffy will yell at me if I get this wrong. So basically, for everything but gizmos, we'll be able to support unsynced versions. So they'll be synced by default. So things like text, lights, sound effects, stuff like that. They'll be synced by default. So if anyone turns on a light, it'll turn on for everyone. In our testing, that's been the most easy to understand for new creators. So what everyone wants as a new creator is you just press the button, everyone sees the light, right? But for more advanced creators, if you want to turn on a bunch of lights and do some really complex sequencing, then you'll probably want to do that unsynced to kind of control the amount of network heat that you're generating. So you'll be able to opt out of syncing for everything except gizmos. I don't believe we'll be able to support it for gizmos. Duffy, is that right?
Okay.
Okay, yes. Yeah. So that's
my next topic.
Yeah, please.
Yeah. When it comes to inventions, is there going to be a dedicated page so we can have pre-made nodes, pre-made systems, stuff like that?
Yes. So that's a great question, and so there's a bunch of stuff going on there. So one kind of big contextual thing to know is we're planning to move over the palette menu and the Maker Pen menu to the updated UI system in Q2. So we'll do that at least a bunch of that work in Q2. And one of our goals there is to allow you to browse inventions directly in the palette. So rather than having to go to the store, then download them, and then go to the palette and find them, we want to streamline that a whole bunch so you'll be able to kind of browse in the palette a lot easier. We also really want to lean pretty heavily on inventions for Circuits v2 generally. So especially for newer creators who are still learning the ins and outs of the system and some of the more advanced aspects, we want to offer RRO inventions that kind of package up commonly used things that are kind of built in a way that optimizes for heat, that optimizes for network usage, and are just really easy building blocks to use. A good example might be a state machine. We haven't fully decided this yet, but the way we're leaning is, in Circuits v1, a state machine was a specific chip. We think the first version of the state machine in Circuits v2 will actually be an invention that you just it's an RRO invention. It's actually made out of lower level building blocks, but you'll actually find it. And if you're a new creator, you may not even really think too hard about, oh, this is an invention, this is a circuit board, this is a chip. You'll just be like, this is a state machine, it's useful, I'll just use it and plug it together. But is that answering your question, Alexa? Is that what you were asking me about?
Yep.
Yeah. So I think the big takeaway,
okay.
the thing, let me just kind of reinforce one thing. Like something that we're pretty keen to do is formalize kind of RRO inventions a little bit more than we have in the past, and kind of use that as a way to very quickly offer new creators ways to get started with the circuit system. So you can expect to see a bunch of those. And I can imagine actually working. I'd love to get feedback from the group of what do we think would be really high-value RRO inventions that we could focus on early, because they should be pretty easy for us to create, and I think they add a lot of value. Okay, yeah, sorry, you had something else.
Yeah. I know this doesn't apply specifically to me, but it applies for a lot of people here. How CV2 will interact when it comes to creative contests?
Yeah, so I mean, I think once it's out of beta, it'll be fair game to use in creator contests. I think that's been in the past. The main reason why we haven't wanted to use it is because we don't guarantee that anything that's in beta won't break.
Yeah. What I mean is, it was rumored that some of CV2 will come out of beta and some of it will still stay. Is that still true?
That is correct. Yes, that is correct.
So how is that going to be in contest?
So basically, that's a good question, and so don't quote me on this. I'll make sure, because I know it's important to get the contest rules right. But the basic idea is, I think we'd probably do something like whatever's out of beta at the start of the contest is what you can use.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Does that make sense to you, Marisa?
That's so. Yep.
Sounds great.
Okay.
That's what I assumed.
There you go. We figured it out.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Alexa.
All right. Nectorious, did you have a question? I know that you had your hand up.
No, sorry.
All right, so we're gonna go to Speedy Games.
Well, that was easy.
All right.
I wanted to ask about. Am I allowed to ask about weeklies?
No.
You can ask. We may not have the. Yeah, I can try and answer. Keep it quick. Make it a quick one.
So I have two questions actually, but I wanted to know: is there going to be more weeklies like that one bow skin that you can buy in the store? If you know.
Maurice is right. This isn't really the right group to ask about that. That one I always ask B-Boz. He's in charge of the weeklies and he knows all of that stuff. So it's a good question. Nothing wrong with the question. Just not the right crew to answer it for you. I'm sorry, Speedy.
Yeah. We'll just keep it all to Circuits V2. All right. We're going to go ahead and talk to Super Kid. Go ahead, Super Kid.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. I just have, two questions. So, with Circuits V2, is it just going to be advanced, is it going to be advanced circuits, or is it just going to be new circuits?
Can you say a little bit more about what you mean by advanced versus new?
So, new, different technology and stuff like that. Advanced, advanced, harder to use type of stuff.
Well, okay, so good question. So what we hope is, Circuits V2 is really a full-featured programming language. When you really dig into it, it is really a very capable and flexible system. So with that in mind, it is pretty advanced. To actually get the maximum potential out of Circuits V2. It is a pretty advanced system. It does there's a learning curve. You need to learn a little bit about the basics of how programming works, which is kind of an exciting thing in a way, we think. If you take the time to really learn the system and get good at it, you'll kind of come out the other end with a pretty good grounding in the fundamentals of how to program in any language. Because, if you zoom out far enough, pretty much any programming language has a lot of shared fundamentals. That is true of Circuits V2 as much as it's true of C# or Python or any other programming language. So in that sense, it is kind of advanced, and obviously we want to make it as easy as we can, but there is kind of a limit to how easy we can make it. It is programming at the end of the day. It kind of connects back to make it easier for people to get started. I kind of go back to what Alexa was asking about the inventions, where we want to kind of give you higher level modular pieces like a state machine, or I'm trying to think of a good example of a nice, like a scoreboard, for example. Let's say you want to make a scoreboard in your game and you want to keep track of scores And, maybe well, I was going to go talk about persistence, but let's keep that off the table for now. You just want to do a scoreboard, and it's like red team, blue team. You can add scores when certain things happen. Like, you can build that from scratch right now in Circuits V2. You could like wire it all up together, but it's a bit of a project. You got to understand how the system works. There's a few little gotchas about networking that you've got to be careful about. Like, you need to use synced variables so everyone's got the same idea of the score. So that's kind of advanced, right? So what we'll do is, to make it easy for new users and who I just want to put I want to put a scoreboard in my room. The best way to do that as a brand new creator will be to go to the Invention Store, search for like an RRO scoreboard or a highly rated scoreboard, and just start with that. And that'll have some kind of like, you can just plug in wires at that top level, set your score, and then when you're ready to learn more and customize it, you can kind of crack it open, start changing it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
That's how we think of it. Yeah. So, I mean, it is like, we hope it's definitely advanced. There's definitely got a lot of depth to it. But we hope it's not, we're hoping to, actually, like, we can talk about Bryhor's favorite topic here, like something that we're going to invest a lot more time in for Circuits V2 than we ever did for Circuits V1 is creating better quality in-game help and documentation systems. Like, I think that's going to be really, really important. As you learn the system, you're going to need to be able to like look in the palette and kind of go, what is this thing and how does it work and what do all these ports mean and how am I meant to use it, and just get that information right there when you need it. So you're like, oh, I'm trying to design this circuit and figure it out. You don't sort of want to, like, if you're in VR, take off your headset, go to your computer, or like, break your flow and go like Googling a bunch of stuff. You want to be able to just go, all right, it's got this connected together. So I think you'll see us putting a lot more effort into having an in-game reference that you can use to like make it a bit easier to connect things together. Does that answer your question?
Yes.
Great.
But I just wanted to know if there was going to be like an advanced animator.
Yes. Oh, I see. Yes. So definitely. So in terms of your advanced technology stuff, so we're definitely going to go. In some ways, we've already gone well beyond what you could do with CV1. Like I think there's recent releases allow you to do things like get the position of the player's hands and stuff like that. Which is stuff you could never do in Circuits V1. But yes, we are actively thinking about how to upgrade the animators. We think there'll be a new form of gizmo. There's a lot more thinking we got to do for that. But yes, we will go well beyond what CV1 was capable of, or the current gizmos are capable of. We have some really, really, really fun ideas for how to do that, actually.
Yeah, and just to be clear, to set expectations, this will not be out of beta come that May 5th date. So just want to be very explicit about that.
Yeah, that's right. The new animator and stuff like that will not be out of beta in May 5th. That'll be coming down the pipe a bit later. That's something we're actively thinking about. So what's coming out of May 5th is like the foundation of the system, and then you can expect us to add more stuff over time.
Well, I don't want to waste most of your guys' time. You guys could pick some other people. Take care. I'm just going to be here.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Super Kid. Appreciate it.
We're going to start off with Striker, then Pan Knight.
I just had a comment, but Gridley sort of answered it for me as far as in-game. When there's so many chips, Tyler's making them like every version there's another chip that I can't even keep up. And your Swag Muffin, I know, right? Swag Muffin and Marissa's, your how-to rec room videos on YouTube, I watch them every time. They're fantastic. I wish there were more, breaking down every chip, what it does, how to use it. Here's an example of how to use it. Would be great if you could just do more of them. I watch them totally. Instead of working, I watch your videos. So keep up the good work.
To be honest.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's great feedback. That's great feedback, and we are definitely on the same page. You've got a strong ally in Bryhor over here. That's his top priority project. Is like, let's have better tutorials, let's have more tutorials, let's have more documentation.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
At least recently, we've kind of shied away from doing those early because we're still getting the foundation down. So we don't want to like cement a bunch of stuff and then change it all out from under you like a month later. So we want that stuff to be more or less pretty stable. So you can expect us doing those more like in the near future, for sure.
Yep, a lot of the terminology is going to change, so we just kind of want to wait for that. It's coming up pretty soon here, so we'll be pushing out a lot of those videos.
Yeah, and I think we've
Trademark
got
soon.
most of the. I think we got most of the. Yeah, you forgot the TM, Marisa.
TM.
We have most of the kind of like terminology and the execution, like what we call the execution model. Like what exactly are the rules for things like syncing sound effects and all of that kind of stuff. That stuff is pretty stable now, so it's much more possible to create tutorials.
Mm-hmm. All right, we're gonna go ahead and start off with Pan Knight.
Hello.
Hello.
I wanted to talk about sound design in our rooms. So the one thing that I feel like the current tools let us do a lot of things, but the one thing I think we really don't have any great ideas for is sound design, specifically because they play for everyone. And I did bring this up last Q&A. I just wanted to know like what the priority of adding samplers that play for a single person, either a role or maybe something we set in CV2. I wanted to know like what the priority of that was and if we can affect that sometime.
All right. Yeah, let's talk about that. So I think differently to last time. I think probably last time I would have given you we're still thinking about that. We're trying to figure it out. I think now we can confidently state like definitely we're going to allow audio playback devices that are synced by default, but you can opt out of sync and you can just play them for a specific player. So that's for sure. In terms of priority, we've already done it for the sound effects component. Ryguy and I were testing it right before we came in. It's got the checkbox on it now, but it doesn't actually work. So we got to yell at Tyleo until it works. And then for samplers, I'm not exactly sure when we've got that slotted in for the V2 revision. So I can't give you an exact time for that, but I think it's fair to say, Duffy, give me a harsh look if you think I'm lying here. I think we should be able to support the same syncing model for samplers as for sound effects.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. So yeah, we will be able to do that. So you'll be able to have like an arbitrary sampler that just plays for everybody or just plays for one person. In terms of when that's going to happen, I know I feel pretty comfortable saying it'll be in Q2, but I don't know when. So I'll just take your comment as enthusiasm for let's get that as far up the priority stack as we can. So as we plan, we'll just make sure that's happening.
Yeah, I mean there are lots of different applications for that. So
totally, yeah. Okay, yeah, loud and clear. We'll get that for you.
All right, we're gonna go to Hirith. You had your hand up. If you're talking, okay, go ahead. Okay, we cannot hear you. I'm gonna go ahead and remove it again. Okay.
I can't hear Hirith either.
No, I can't hear him.
Sorry, Hirith.
Yeah, we can't hear you. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and go to Noctorious. Yeah, I'll come back to you.
Awesome. So last month, like I said, I'm not really the best when it comes to circuits and all that jazz, but I'm still here. I kind of want to learn circuits version 2 when I can be bothered to. But obviously with the whole workshops and everything going along, also like I said, I've not really been working on, so I could be completely wrong here, but will we be able to have a lot more moderation, if that's the right word to use, with the circuits, such as like so we can monetize rooms, just to such as like the trolls in Greece, because also I'm pretty sure if there's any workshop teachers here, we're all fed up of the whole trolls and all of that. So would there be any types of circuits that would like help out or possibly is out that I might not be knowing of?
Yes. So I'd like to hear more about what kinds of features you would like to see. That would be helpful.
So I mean, let's just say they will have a specific. Well, I guess it's more of a. It doesn't really apply with circuits, but I guess it could be some sort of rule that could say that they cannot delete anything in the room, and only co-owners or creators can do. Maybe like a board that says, like I kind of mentioned last Q&A. That it will come up saying this person's spawning a cube, this person's spawning this, something like that. Something across the lines of that. I think that'll be really useful.
Yeah, that's good feedback. I think yes. So someone is echoing. I'm not sure who it is. It might be you, Marisa.
No, it's Noctorious.
Oh, is it me? Okay, sorry, Notorious. Oh, you might. It's okay. We'll get through it. So definitely we want to support those kind of moderation features because we want to minimize the amount of chaos you experience in your classes. we have done a little bit of work on that recently. I think there are some known requests that we have. Something that we've been talking about that isn't, I don't want to kind of like make it sound like it's more planned than it isn't. We've been talking about doing a little update on the freeze tool, and I think we could make freeze a pretty powerful tool for moderation, like just basically being like, hey, you can have make it pin permissions, but you can't unfreeze certain things, which is potentially very powerful for anti-griefing. So yeah, I'm definitely with you on we want to be supporting that, and I think there are opportunities with circuits. We're already plugging circuits a little more into like the account, the profile of the player, so you can get actually better information about like, we've been talking about maybe there's a chip that says, you can get the level of a player, for example, and you could do things like, hey, this button can only be pressed by level, 25 and above or whatever. So
I think that would be a good idea. I like that.
Yeah, definitely from a technical level, the circuit system's capable of doing that. I think this is really a design problem of like, what's the right moderation features, but yeah, totally with you. We want to support as good a moderation as we can manage.
Yeah, just to like kind of mention one more thing, like especially like because there are other tools such as like not grabbable, all of that jazz. But if they are, especially with teachers and workshops, people are always going to use maker pens, and they can still move that. So I would like there to be some sort of like upgrade to that, if you know what I mean by that. So like if it's not grabbable, it's not grabbable at all. It's not deletable. It's not all of that. So even if it's just like updates for stuff, that would be awesome.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. So I think probably next thing is we'll look at is like the freeze tool thing. I think there is a lot of potential there, and if that's not enough, we'll keep going.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome, thanks.
All right, we're gonna go to Toast, and then we'll go to Alexa. All right, go for it, Toast.
Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Brilliant. When you say you won't unsync gizmos, is it not in your power, or is it just not in your? Is that not what you want?
I think it is way harder to do than for other things. Duffy, do you want to talk about that one?
Yeah. It's a little bit of both. We probably could do it, but it just leads to weird things. Our physics are sort of a base level thing that we try to keep synced between everybody all the time, just by default. And so having a physical object that is not in the same place for two players ends up just looking weird. And it's hard to sort of resync after the fact in a way that looks and feels good. So we probably, could do it. You're already running sort of your own local physics simulation. We just try to keep that in sync. But we think that it'll feel better to keep those in the same spot for everybody.
It's probably a little bit more rational for animated objects as opposed to physically simulated objects. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's really about physics more so than anything else.
Yeah. Toast, for your use case, if we were to say something like an animated gizmo, we would allow you to selectively desync, but like actual physical movement, like a piston or a rotator, we probably wouldn't. Would that suit your needs?
Well, maybe if I botched an animator onto the end of a piston, it might work. So yeah, I'd say that'd be about fine.
Okay, well we'll see. We'll keep looking into it. Yeah, it gets super messy when we let the physics get desynced. So I think we definitely want to start with some of the less physical things like the lights and the sound effects, and let's keep talking about it.
Okay, that's all. Thank you.
Alexa.
Yeah. I want to dump some more questions. So my first one, what's the state about how the respawn chip or node is going to work? Is it going to be a chip? Is it going to be a gadget? Are we been able to spawn it in a position? Are we going to be able to? Are we going to have the player has to be authority, like stuff like that?
So I think someone fact check me on this if I mess it up, but I think we talked about this last month, so I'll just kind of go through it again. Like the way we're leaning for the circuit system is we're kind of cleaning up our categories of objects a little bit. So we kind of have three categories of objects. We have rec room objects, which is something like basketball, right? It's like something that's in the room. Everyone can see it. It's synced for everybody. It's part of the physics simulation. That's one category of thing, rec room object. And then at the other end of the spectrum, we have chips, right? So they're only in the circuit layer. You can only see them when you're holding the maker pen. They don't cost any ink. The presence or absence of a chip is synced, but the actual execution state of the chip is not synced, right? So they're kind of way down the other end of the spectrum. in between those two extremes is what we call components. And so what in the past we've kind of called gadgets and gizmos, we're kind of just going to group them as components in the future. So sound effects component, text component, light component. And so something like the spawner, I think, is a component. And so a component sort of is in some ways like a chip in that it lives in the circuit layer. You can only see it when you're holding the Maker Pen, right? Because you don't want to see the actual spawner. You want to see the thing that gets spawned. It has the same execution model of a chip, so it executes locally. Anyone can execute it. Doesn't matter. You don't need authority. And then the room effects are synced by default, right? So that's kind of how we think about for example, a sound effects component is it executes like a chip, but any effect it has in the room is synced by default because we think that's the most intuitive for new creators is like they just think, hey, I'm in a room, that thing made a sound, everyone should hear the sound, right? And so a spawner, I think, would behave exactly the same way. I think the default assumption is anyone executes the spawner, it creates a new object in the room or respawns something that, to that location. Everyone sees that. It's synced by default. So anyone can execute it. Everyone sees the output.
Right.
How's that sound?
Okay. Could I ask about how when the authority model is going to arrive?
Say more about that.
Like localized text. Like when's that going to ship? That's what I mean.
Oh, so I don't know is the short answer. Like for some things, like the sound effects, it's already done. So when are we? Bryho, do you know off the top of your head when we're shipping the sound effects component? Is that part of our beta thing? I can't remember.
I think we have some of that scheduled for later in the quarter, so probably it would ship like first week in July, for example. But I'm not 100% sure off the top of my head. I'd have to double check.
Since it's already in, it might actually go in the next in the next ship, like the one that Tyleo was saying, the one before we leave beta. For that specifically, but for everything
it's
else,
not far away. Is kind of the key thing. I don't think anyone on the stage knows exactly when, but it's not far off.
Now, I have now I have a much more challenging question. Can we have a chip called set authority that allows us to set an authority of an object to a player?
No, I don't think so. Right, Duffy? I don't think we want to do that.
Yeah, probably not.
Why do you want that? What would you do with it?
For example, when you have a game, when you want, for example, flowing cars in the air, the car have to be the authority player to be able to flow smoothly and to even walk. So I don't want to just the player have to grab it every time. What if I can just use circuitry to just have it automatically get the authority, become the authority?
So what you're saying is you want like cars flying in your room?
Yes. What I mean by it is it's kind of a more movement type of like kind of a lab testing that you can move the car using your hands by how velocity you get and how like movement from one hand to the other one.
I see. So
okay,
yeah. What I was going to say was I don't want to like go too deep into this in a group context. Like talk to Marisa. Like Marisa will get you in touch with me, and I want to make sure I understand your use case so that like I don't want to promise that I'm going to give you a set authority chip, but I do want to make sure that we're going to handle your use case and get you nice smooth movement.
Okay. What I exactly meant is like ability to set objects authority. Like not room authority, anything like that, just object authority.
Yeah.
Put that in simple words.
I get it. Yeah. Not sure on that one. We've definitely thought about it. Yeah.
Yep. Okay. I have another questions. When it comes to more moderation, when Notorious talked about, when CV2 comes out of beta and everyone have MakerFan in a workshop, they can access CV2, which is a quite powerful tool. I want to be able to disable that tab for people.
I see. Right. So like kind of keep them to like a subset of the Maker Pen capabilities. So like you can move stuff, you can clone stuff, you can do stuff, but not get to everything and like, hey, I'm going to like reset the room at 30 hertz kind of thing.
Yeah.
Is that what you mean? Yeah, I think that's a good idea. Like honestly, so Marisa, this is something we should talk about. Like as we think through the updated Maker Pen menu, we should probably think from first principles about like, should we support an active inactive kind of like, for each tool on the Maker Pen, you can kind of like have a sort of role-based, only half the buttons on the Maker Pen are active for this player.
Mm-hmm.
I have ideas probably got a good opportunity to get. Okay, great. Yeah, great feedback from Notorious and Alexa. Yeah, we'll definitely build out that system.
I have some more into moderation in CV2. So I want to be able to change certain permissions for player locally. So being able to disable that player from using the Maker Pen, or disabling that player to talk or fly or invite people. Most of the
moderation in a way that doesn't
stuff,
require as opposed to just using the permission layers. You want to do it just like hey, Duffy can't use the Maker Pen, for example.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Good feedback. Yeah. I think we're thinking along similar lines about wanting to support those scenarios.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Alexa. Thank you. All right, Speedy Games, and then we're gonna answer some questions from the chat. So go ahead.
Yeah.
Okay, so I wanted to ask about will there ever be any advanced versions of AI or anything?
Yeah, so couple of questions on that. So like obviously we got the relatively simple AIs where you can spawn our quest AIs and stuff like that. We're not going to bring them out of beta for CV2 just yet. We want to think a little bit more about how best to support that. I think there's two ways we want to think about AI for CV2. So one, as we've kind of talked about, CV2 is just a much more capable system all up than CV1 ever was, and so we've already seen various creators who are experimenting with the beta starting to build some relatively simple AIs, but things that behave like AIs that have follow behaviors. And so we hope that one strong theme of AI for CV2 is just people building it from scratch out of the building blocks, and then probably package them up as inventions and sharing them. Separately, we have, speaking of Maker Pen, separately we have some interesting ideas around a new type of gizmo that is expressly designed to make AI much easier to do. So specifically something that interacts with the pathfinding and the kind of mesh generation that we have for the current AI. So we want to give you basically a gizmo that is able to move from A to B using that kind of pathfinding stuff, and then you can just build all your stuff on top of it. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
so
and
yes is the answer.
I have two more questions.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to know if there will ever be a chance where we can do like anything more with holotars, like if we can like make them actually like I don't know, it's weird, but if you could make them actually like walk around the map kind of, because it's kind of hard to like position them to where to go.
Yeah, totally. That's a good question. So something we just did, in case you didn't notice, is we just shipped an update that allows you to turn off some of the additional projector effects for holotars to make them seem a little bit more like regular characters, which is kind of fun. Additionally, so that one we're approaching more generally. You probably heard me talk about something we call object model a fair bit. That's something we put a fair bit of work into. It's basically the idea of, the way you can merge shapes together right now, so you can like take, several cubes. My phone is ringing in my room. I'm sorry. You can take several cubes and you can merge them together and they move as one cube. Our goal is we want to extend that basic idea to everything. So like you could basically take a holotar and merge it into, let's say, a gizmo. And so now whenever the gizmo moves, the holotar moves, kind of like the sort of basic stuff you can get with the clamp gizmo, but much more general and much more robust. So yeah, so that would let you kind of like one of those AI gizmos I was just talking about, let you merge in a holotar on top of one of that. Then you can have a pathfinding holotar that can kind of trundle around the room.
All right. Sorry.
Duffy loves it when I talk about all this stuff. Duffy, make it happen.
Okay.
Oh yeah, love it.
All right, thank you. We're gonna take some questions from the chat. Trunks, would you like to? Is there any questions from the chat? Okay, we got some questions. All right, go for it.
All right, we've got a handful of direct questions here from the chat coming from Fluid VR. Curious, what happens to CV1 after CV2 becomes a new standard?
So CV1 goes into maintenance mode. It's not going anywhere. Obviously, we need to keep the system around because we have millions of rooms that rely on it. So yeah, basically, once CV2 is capable of like fully bearing the load, it's basically got an equivalent or better for everything that CV1 can do. We'll put CV1 into what we call maintenance mode, where we'll still fix bugs on it if something breaks. Like let's say we upgrade Unity or something, and that creates a new issue in the CV1. We'll go back and fix that. But we won't be like developing new features for CV1 or anything like that. And then ultimately what we want to get to is that it's fairly hidden in the palette. So any new creator who starts up and is like, all right, I want to use this circuit system to kind of build some, an AI in my room or something, they'll really only find CV2 stuff in the palette unless they really, really go digging. So it's kind of like the reverse of the current situation. Current situation is you'll encounter CV1 first. You've got to go turn on the beta flag and go digging around and know what you're doing to find CV2. Eventually, we want to flip the bit on that and have it be CV2 is what you'll find by default. That's really what you'll interact with. And if for some reason you really, really, really want to go and find CV1 stuff, like maybe you want to go make an edit to a room you built in 2018 or something, then you'll have to like dig around in the palette until you find it. But hopefully most new creators wouldn't even know it was there.
Great. Are there any other questions?
Thank you. Excellent answer. The next question is Yokito Claritoto. They ask, will you ever think about adding coding scripting for CV2 here at Rec Room, like direct text code?
Probably not. So that's something that gets kind of tricky on the various platforms we're on. Like visual scripting is kind of easy, but like actual kind of like regular scripting is not really something that we're planning to do. So no, I don't think no plans to do that.
All right.
Thank you for that answer. We got a couple more questions that are more based around future features. Dragon Creates ask, will we ever be able to apply the sound effect features from the audio effects zone to specific audio channels like voice, sound effects, music, etc.?
Grumpo, you want to talk about that one?
Oh yeah, we definitely have some further ideas for that kind of stuff. So give us those ideas, and we'll definitely kind of stack rank and see which ones we should do.
Yeah, I think we might have talked about that one specifically when we were doing the audio SFX zone. So I can't remember. I think we talked about that one. But yeah, probably. I think we probably did that one. But yeah, like Grumpo says, like let us like the thing that often helps us kind of like prioritize something and get it done sooner rather than later is a really specific use case that you're trying to do. Like so it's like, hey, I'm trying to do this. I really need that feature to do it, and that's often the kind of kick in the pants we need to be like, all right, let's go ahead and do that.
All right.
Great, thank you for that answer. The last kind of wishful feature, with CV2 and all its abilities, will we ever see a weather chip in the future?
A weather chip? Like, so you can create rain and snow and stuff in your... That's a good question. So the honest answer is I don't know. If Ordzilla was here, I'm sure she'd have some interesting things to say about this. I think, like, my general answer would be, yeah, I mean, I'm hoping the first thing we would do is actually do a way better emitter. So actually like upgrade the emitter so that you can actually kind of create your own snow and rain and like a lot of other things besides. I'd love to see a much more capable emitter that's less opinionated about this is a weather chip and it can really only do rain, snow, and a couple other things. I'd much rather do a vastly upgraded emitter that's capable of those things and a bunch of other kind of weird effects besides. But that said, never say never. Like we do have the kind of fog chip, the sky chip, stuff like that. A weather chip could be a good companion for that. So I'll give you a hard maybe on that one.
Awesome. Thank you so much for those answers. That's it for questions from the stream for now.
All right, great. We're going to start off with
Marisa, we got some questions over this side of the room.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I know you've got an order in mind. We should get there at some point.
Yep. We're going to go to No Game Given and then Holy. Go for it. Oh, wait, I can't hear you. Oh, you're muted for a moment.
Oh, yep, we're getting there.
Can y'all hear me?
Yep.
Yeah.
When will we ever be able to use Circuits V2 in our dorms? And also, how will Circuits V2 interact with vehicles?
Oh, good question. So once it comes out of beta, you'll be able to use the parts of CV2 that are out of beta in your dorm. So soon. So May, whatever Bryhor said, May, whatever. Early in May, you'll be able to start using it in your dorm. Then in terms of vehicles, so let me figure out how to answer this. So we have some stuff going on to do with vehicles. As you know, we've teased this a few times. The big thing that we need to do to unlock vehicles, and that we'll be doing soon, is figuring out the cross-platform control primitives. So what does a steering wheel look like? What does a gas pedal look like? What does the input look like in a way that means that you can build a vehicle on any platform? Like you could be in VR, you could be on a phone, and then users on any device will be able to just jump into your vehicle and drive it, and you don't have to worry about like what do the controls look like on all these different platforms. So that's the next step. We have people actively working on that. I don't want to give you an exact date for when that's going to happen, but I will say it's not too long before you'll start to see that stuff coming.
All right, great. All right, Holy, go for it.
Sorry, I was on push to talk. No
worries.
I'm so sorry. I'm really nervous. So do you know?
Me too.
Do you know when the newest rec center will be out and more improvements for Rec Room?
Yeah, actually, so we have, since this is kind of a CV2 focused event, something that Right Guy and Ordzilla and myself have been talking about a bunch is part of our CV2 rollout is that we want to start putting some CV2 powered stuff in the rec center. This is actually like something that we've been planning to do for a long time, is kind of feature inventions and things in the rec center, but we've had a lot of like kind of technical issues and kind of weird things to kind of figure out. We're actually planning pretty soon to start sneaking some stuff into the rec center, and if that works, it means we'll be able to put, like from our perspective, the rec center kind of already works as a UGC room, so we can kind of just like put stuff in the Maker Pen, save it, and that kind of happens for everybody who's in the rec center. And so we actually want to start using CV2 a little bit more aggressively to build fun stuff in the rec center. We're just like, because we're not out of beta yet, it's a little bit nerve-wracking because, you know, the rec center has a ton of people in it, and like if we screw something up in there, it's going to mess up Rec Room for a lot of people. But yeah, like, so I don't think we're not planning to upgrade the physical layout of the rec center or anything soon, but we are planning to start putting some fun CV2 powered gizmos in there.
Okay, thank you. I do have one more question.
Sure.
So what is the new watch menu going to look like, and are you going to be able to make a new like a design for dorm room?
So I think that's two pretty separate questions. So the new watch menu, like if you go to the play menu right now, you'll kind of see the updated style. This is the one we're iterating on. We got a bunch more stuff coming soon. Like we got new room details update coming. We'll be working on. I think we're going to actually do the home screen of the watch pretty soon, so it'll be like the default view. So if you want, so that's kind of the style we're going after. We're doing some audio work on it soon. Just kind of like there's a lot of just kind of general improvements coming for that. In terms of the dorm, yeah, that's a good question. Like the next thing we want to do on the dorm is actually like make it so you can delete everything in there. Like there's still too much stuff in there that you can't actually get rid of. So we want to make it so you can completely customize the dorm. I'm not sure when we're going to get to that though. We got a lot of other stuff ahead of it in the queue.
Mm-hmm. That's great.
Okay, thank you so much.
All right, I just want to keep in mind this is a Circuits V2 event, so let's just make sure that we're keeping on Circuits V2 topic. All right. Lemon.
All right. Can we get a when shot chip? Because I want to make a rocket jumping.
Yeah, I hear you. So we were just talking about that actually. Raga, you want to say anything about that? Or Tyler?
Yeah,
or
for
someone?
sure. So
whoops.
We did a recent test actually trying to make paintball using CV2, and we had some prototype chips in there. One of them was detecting if you got hit with a projectile on player boards, and so we're definitely looking into that. We have some work to do to kind of pull ourselves out of the game rules chip land in Circuits V1 currently to support that, but we're looking forward to doing that. We tried it out internally, and it was really nice. It was a lot of fun. You could do a lot of stuff with it. It unlocks a lot of potential. So yeah, we're looking into that.
Do you? Right. I don't want to make promises that I regret, but like I feel pretty comfortable saying we'll get to that in Q2. Does anyone want to tell me that that's a lie? Okay, there you go.
I don't. Dead silence.
All right, that's all.
We all nervous.
That's all I had.
All right,
Thanks,
you.
Liam.
We're gonna go Igello and then Pan Knight. Oh, you're good. Or was that your question? Okay,
We're not
thank you.
going Igello.
All right. Pan Knight and Super Kid.
All right, so really excited about CV2 stuff. This is not really a super CV2 question because it's not just a CV2 issue, but it is an issue that we're seeing with circuits, and that is performance. We're doing like going forward. We're really trying to support our rooms and make really compelling experiences, and we're really trying to push forward with an upgrade to our sword fighting map. And we're actually like taking a bunch of players into these rooms and benchmarking our FPS data, and we're having difficulty really staying above 55 frames or so, 50 to 55 frames per second. And this seems to be really an issue with circuits heavy rooms where we're getting a lot like if I take the same amount of people and bring them into Transience, which was a contest-winning art map from 2019. It's 100% ink. It's a giant cathedral made with deprecated shapes, all those beveled shapes. That gets higher FPS than our sword fighting room, which is a lot lower ink in terms of environment design, but a lot higher with circuits. And we're kind of wondering, like, is this being tracked, and like, if there's any like ways forward, like, what are the plans to get FPS up?
Sorry, that's a great question.
This is this is a biggest issue on Quest 2, and like the Quest platforms.
Gribbly didn't want to take it. He pieced out. He tried to fly away.
Yeah, no, I somehow managed to teleport.
I didn't notice you exploded there.
Yeah. So, no, great question, and I will say, like, so there's a few different things I want to say about this. So one is, we're kind of not really super focused on circuits performance right now because we're trying to come out of beta, and it's actually more important from our perspective that the system be stable and not going to change too dramatically. So as people start doing things like building inventions and building rooms, there can be very, very high confidence that, those inventions will still work a year from now, 2 years from now. So we're prioritizing stability of the system and the kind of underlying architecture over optimization. So there is a bunch of optimization possible. So we think there is a pathway to making circuits a lot more efficient, but it's going to take a while, that's for sure. In the short term, we'd love to use that room as a kind of test case so we can profile internally and kind of just like see, hey, is anything crazy happening, or is this just is this the right amount of cost? It's just, we haven't optimized it yet. That said, one thing I will say is like we are actually like over this quarter, we've done a lot of kind of analysis of a bunch of the work we want to do, and we're actually just have like opened up a bunch of positions on the team to hire in some more people to help us do more optimization work there. So recroom.com/jobs. We have some really, really great jobs. So if you know any great optimization engineers, point them our way, because we're going to be digging pretty deep on this in the next quarter, the rest of the year. But we really want to kind of actually build out the team a little more to go after this a bit more aggressively. But yeah, if you can send us the name of that map so that we can take a look at it and just see if there's anything actually wrong, or if it's just like, hey, that's just how long it takes to run. That'd be good data for us.
Yeah, absolutely. We're usually pretty squeaky wheel about it, so we're usually complaining about it one way or another. So you guys probably already are aware.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah. So who have you been talking to, just so I can go follow up with them?
Star, Centurion, and Carthage.
Okay.
And
all right. Star
really,
and
anyone
Carthage,
who lends us an ear.
Yeah, totally. Okay, yeah. So, what we should probably do is get Jay to go and take a look at this. Bryhol, what's the name of the room?
Sword Summit.
Yep.
Sword Summit. Oh yeah, nice Sword Summit. That's a great room. Okay, yeah. Let's Bryhol, let's have Jay take a look at Sword Summit, and we'll follow up with you, Pen Knight.
Yep, for sure.
Oh, thank you.
Put it on the list.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, guys.
Yep.
Of course.
All right, we're going to go to Super Kid, and then we're going to call it because it's getting a little late here. And then we'll answer questions right after the stream. So go ahead. Super Kid.
Super Kid.
Really? I'm just kidding. But sorry if there's ambient noises. I'm gonna have to mute my mic sometimes. I have two really, really quick questions.
right.
One is pretty dumb and the other's actually kind of serious. So, well, cause Crescendo ever come to Oculus Quest 2?
Maybe.
Right. Circuits V2. Circuit V2.
And will like motion capture for like your hands work with the animation gizmo in Circuits V2?
Oh, good question. Maybe. Not sure yet. We've talked about that kind of like, we call that performance capture. Maybe. We've still got some more underlying design to do before we know the answer to that. But that's a feature I want too. So we'll try and make that a reality. Because that'd be cool.
Okay, so like what I mean by motion capture is like your hands, if you move them, like let's say like a
do you mean like animating by holding an object and moving it around and recording the motion? Is that what you mean?
Yeah, because I was playing around with inventions earlier today. I found a robotic rec room arms, and that you had to grab these hands, and then you could like do this with them, and they just move around and crap.
I don't want to say yes for sure. I will say I want that to work, so hopefully. Yeah.
All right. Great. We have one.
Okay, thank you.
We have time for one more question.
I think Gallo said he remembered his question, or she remembered her question, or they remembered their question.
All right, go for it.
I was gonna ask, is there ever gonna be a chip that can change like the colors of certain materials?
Ooh. I think probably eventually. I don't know exactly when. We've definitely been talking about something that none of us on the team really like is the way we handle recoloring via circuits, for example, like the way you just pass in a kind of arbitrary integer that's just like the palette index. We'd love to make that a little bit more, being able to pass in the color, at some point pass in the material, at some point pass in the ability to kind of adjust the UVs of the material. So I'd say it's likely, but I don't know exactly when we would support that.
I was also can I ask your opinion on something?
Sure.
What's your opinion on white Grill Master gloves?
I'm pro. I'm team white Grill Master gloves.
All right. Okay, so we're gonna call it for the day, and I'll actually take in some of the questions afterwards. Thank you guys for coming, and thank you Gribbly for taking your time, and thank you to the team for taking your time to answer questions and be here. Thank you everyone in the chat. We'll gather those questions as well. Thank you everyone, and I'll see you in the Maker Pen class. See you guys.
Happy Teacher Appreciation Day.
Can we get some outro music next time, Marisa?
Right? We could try to do
we do need some outro music.
Yeah, I feel like we need some outro music.
Definitely.
All right, there we go. We're getting some right now.
Outro music.
Hey, how's it going?
All right, see you everyone. Thank you guys.